Welcome back to the Spotlight. I'm Nick Candela, and as promised, we've got Alan Bernstein in studio. Alan, thanks for coming on, taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Absolutely, great to be here. Thank you.
All right, now I want to jump right into this because of some pretty exciting news. You got a Kickstarter going for your documentary that you're doing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the documentary is?
The documentary is on the history of Mad Magazine, the history and influence that Mad had on its readers, and the basic history of where it started.
Now, what was your inspiration for doing this? You know, why go out of your way? You know, why Alan Bernstein? Why are you the one who decided this is going to happen?
Well, the simple answer is that I've been a fan since I was 6, and no one else has done it. I, in a way, kind of was expecting someone to have done a documentary on Mad at this point, and it hasn't happened, and I have a film background, and I figured now's the time to do it while we still can.
All right, well, talk a little bit about your film background. I know you're a Michigan boy, you're local, not too far from the city of Warren. Tell me a little bit about your background and, you know, I guess your expertise.
Graduate of University of Michigan in the film program.
Go Blue.
Hey. I co-wrote, co-produced, and directed a feature film a while back called One Half Gone.
Okay.
And that had some success in the film festival circuit. And then I do a lot of freelance work in the area, in the film area, and film and television.
Okay.
And I'm getting back to my own project with this When We Went Mad.
Very cool. Now, who are some of the people that you talked to in order to get this done? You know, when you decided you want to do a documentary, who is the one contact that you knew, I have to get a hold of this person if I want this to be successful?
Well, as a Mad fan, my attitude was I needed to talk to all of the guys behind Mad.
Okay.
And that was kind of the impetus. The people who started Mad, who were there from the beginning, they're getting up there. And I wanted these interviews before we couldn't get these interviews anymore. And so as far as Mad artists and writers, I looked for Al Jaffe, who invented the fold-in at the back of the magazine.
Okay.
I spoke with an artist named Jack Davis, who's been with the magazine and the comic book industry since the early 50s.
Right, because Mad is a part of DC, right?
Mad is a part of DC. It's all owned by Time Warner, and DC is given control of Mad, yes.
Okay, very cool. Now, when you were originally talking to these people, I mean, they just have to have so much expertise and just all that behind the scenes. It's got to be great getting a hold of these people.
It's great for me to finally hear the stories of these people who have inspired me for so long. The interesting thing that I found in talking with them is that they're quite humble. They don't necessarily feel that they've had a great impact on our culture. They did their job. They're cartoonists. They make fun of things, and they get paid to do it. And what happens beyond that, they really don't feel they have a true understanding of.
I mean, it's unbelievable that they are so humble, because Mad Magazine is pretty much quite literally the reason satire is even allowed. The Berlin versus Mad case basically said, yes, we have the freedom of speech and we can write satire and joke about whatever we want.
Yep.
And that was a huge deal. And, you know, even thinking now, you know, how it's evolved from, you know, the Mad Magazine, and then in the 90s we had Mad TV, where we found some great stars. Pretty much half the cast of Family Guy started right there in Mad TV, Artie Lang and some of the others.
Sure.
I mean, Mad is a huge part of the culture, especially, you know, for, I would say, you know, the Generation X and the Generation Y people. I mean, Mad TV is awesome, and Mad Magazine, I mean, is the start of that. And
it's influenced so many other aspects of the entertainment industry. You've got The Simpsons, who has not only been influenced by Mad, but they've included Mad in episodes. They've made references to Mad. The Colbert Show, The Daily Show. I mean, you look at those, and you can instantly see that there's a Mad slant to their style of entertainment. Howard Stern, he's a self-professed Mad fan from way back. So its influence is apparent, and it's obvious. And what I'm trying to do is capture those, the more obvious ones, but I'm also trying to find some of the less apparent ones. I always kind of comment, half jokingly, half serious. I think it would be great to find out that Dick Cheney grew up reading Mad, and it influenced his life. I think that would be a tremendous interview.
Right, some hierarchy, some politician out there.
Absolutely.
Knowing that he has that little sensitivity, reading the Mad magazine, that would be great to find out. And if you do, you let us know.
Absolutely.
Now, tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter. What's the reason? Where are you at as far as in the documentary filming process?
We have currently 20 interviews shot, finished, and those are all people who have worked for MAD or still do work for MAD.
Okay.
And we are, the next phase of the project is to find the people who were influenced.
Okay.
And then we have, obviously, the editing and post-production to work on
Right.
it. So the Kickstarter is a great way to fund a project through crowdfunding. A lot of people can contribute a little amount to reach your goal, as opposed to the traditional finding one or two people with
the
large
one big investor.
Exactly.
Okay. And I know you have some incentive for some of the folks out there if they do want to donate, right?
We do. We have different categories broken down, 10, 25 different categories, and one of the easiest incentives you can get is a DVD of the movie when it's completed.
Okay.
For $25. And the incentives move all the way up from actual posters for the movie, which I've just recently found out will be illustrated by a MAD artist.
Very
We'll be doing the
cool.
poster. And then all the way up to, if you really have a lot of money burning in your pocket, you can donate and become an executive producer.
Now that's a great incentive to go out there. Now, I'm not really sure how many people we have out there to do executive producer type money, but I'm sure every little penny is gonna count.
That's the best thing about crowdfunding is let's get as many people as you can to donate a little bit here and there.
Okay.
And you can reach your goal.
All right, now tell me more about the filming process. We have a lot of local filmmakers in the area. We've had plenty on the show. What would be your advice for somebody who would want to do something this big?
You have to start somewhere, and for me, an opportunity came up to interview someone from MAD who was going to be in town, and I put it together. I got the crew together, and I contacted the artist, and I was able to meet up with him. And really, the simple answer is take that first step and find a way to reach it.
All right, now what are some do's and don'ts, maybe learning the hard way? What are some of the battles that you've had during this process?
Well, the easiest one to say is have the money to do what you want to do.
So preparation, pre-production.
Pre-production is important. For example, in my previous film, one of the biggest hurdles I had was I had enough money to film it. I just didn't have enough money to finish it.
Okay.
And that it sounds okay in theory. I'll just finish it, or I'll film it, and we'll worry about finishing it later on. But you find yourself stuck if you don't have it. So projects take money, and you have to do your homework and find the ways to fund it to get your project done.
All right, very cool. Now we're gonna get to the trailer for When We Went Mad in just a minute here.
Sure.
Why don't you set it up for us? What is the style of this documentary? Explain the trailer to us.
I wanted to capture the essence of an actual issue of MAD, the kind of the experience of reading a MAD, and so what we did was we placed the interviewees, excuse me, into our version of a MAD magazine, and each chapter, if you will, of the documentary is a different section of the magazine.
Very cool. Now, some info for you, the website for the Kickstarter?
The best way to get to us is to go to www.whenwewentmad.com.
Okay.
And that is my main website, and through there is a link to Kickstarter.
Okay.
The main Kickstarter website has too many letters and numbers
all right.
for me to even remember, let alone recite.
Right.
So whenwewentmad.com will get you everything you need to know.
All right, cool. Well, we are short on time here. I want to thank you once again for being here, taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you've been coast to coast recently, so thank you for stopping in, Warren. Before we get to break, we're going to head to the trailer. So let's take a look at the trailer, and then we'll see you right back here on the Spotlight.
MAD started during a time of repression in the United States.
The kids were being told to get under their seats when the siren went off and that they would be okay. And the kids were saying, you know, that's a lot of crap. I'm going to get turned into dust. So they were starting to question the adult world.
In an atmosphere like this, it was so easy to ridicule things. And so if you made fun of it, you let the gas out of the bags.
Why don't we do it an adult humor magazine? Why don't we call it EC's Mad Mag? And Harvey says, why don't we just call it Mad? And he was right.
What's the political policy at MAD? It's whatever the individual writer thinks he should be shooting down or poking fun at, as long as it was funny.
There's an art to doing them, whether it's a great movie, a bad movie. You can do a satire on it.
I think we were all smart enough to know that you had to hit all sides. If you hit Democrats, you had to hit Republicans, and vice versa. Nobody was spared.
Let's just put in whatever we think is funny and assume the readers are going to go along with it. Maybe they'll learn something.
Even funerals can be very funny. It just depends on how you look at it.
A lot of teachers and parents were caught all of a sudden, you know, how do you handle this magazine for your kids?
Parents who had kids blame the kids' attitude because of Mad magazine. And it just snowballed throughout the country.
When Carson said, okay, now you've made it, Michael, you're a star, everyone knows you, but it wasn't always that way. When did you start to feel you're a star? And Michael J. Fox. When Mort Drucker drew me in Mad magazine, I knew I had made it. I worked for one of the greatest men that ever lived.
Bill Gaines was one of the greatest nuts. He was absolutely out of his mind.
I used to give him a finished book for the printer, and he would read them, and I could hear him cackling and laughing in the office.
He will go and says, who made a call to New Jersey? Says, I did. Well, you owe me 72 cents.
I don't think the magazine would have been the same without him. You know, if Rupert Murdoch was the publisher of Mad, it would not have been the same. Don't think.
Alfred E. Neuman represents the kind of crazy, unruly, funny, mischievous kid.
You see that face, we don't know what's going to happen. He was like an imp.
He was a schmuck that was on the cover, and everybody identified with it.
Got a smile on his face, no tooth. And his motto was, what, me, Warren?
Mad was a mirror of our culture and society, but it was a funhouse mirror.
I was writing about things they didn't understand, but it got them trying to figure out what it was all about.
Read between the lines. Don't believe everything you see and read or hear from politicians or your mother and father or the press or Madison Avenue and all their promises.
You know, my kid used to read Mad. Kid, you're a kid. You liked it, right?
Coming up next, Becca gives us the word. Coming up later, an encore performance by The Mug. Don't go anywhere, there's more Spotlight next.